It's 10 a.m. by the studio clock. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. These are the headlines we are tracking this Monday morning. Home Minister Rajnath Singh stirs a storm with remark that JNU protests had support of Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed. Opposition seeks concrete proof of his claims. University students to go on an indefinite strike. Massive fire at cultural event at Make in India Week in Mumbai brought under control. No casualties reported. Chief Minister oversees rescue operations, orders probe. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley hints at major banking sector reform soon, but says government cannot completely exit public sector banks. Delhi government announces waiver of pending water bills till November last. As it marks 1 year in office, opposition lashes out at Arvind Kejriwal, says it's been a year of misrule in the capital. And fighting escalates in Syria with Turkish militias' assault on Kurdish forces. US urges Russia to stop bombing moderate Syria rebels. And our top focus this morning, Home Minister Rajnath Singh unleashed a political storm on Sunday with his remark that the JNU stir is being backed by international designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed. His claims were based on a tweet that later turned out to be a fake one and was deleted soon after. Opposition parties, of course, were quick to lash out at the minister, asking him to produce concrete proof of his claims. Meanwhile, protests continue in JNU with students calling for a shutdown today. 40 other central universities have also lent support to the protesting students. Amid the ongoing protests at JNU campus against the arrest of Students' Union President Kanhaiya Kumar, Home Minister Rajnath Singh sparked a fresh row on Sunday. Singh alleged that the event organized in remembrance of Parliament attack convict Afzal Guru in JNU last week had the backing of Lashkar-e-Taiba founder and Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed.
JNU की जो घटना हुई है, उसे लश्कर-ए-तैयबा के चीफ हाफिज सईद का भी समर्थन प्राप्त है. देश को इस हकीकत को भी समझना चाहिए.
The Home Minister's claims created furor, with opposition parties seeking proof for his comments.
Any anti-national student, any anti-national slogans by any student, whichever political party may they belong to, that cannot be condoned and that cannot be accepted. That's totally unacceptable. But this charge that the students are anti-national and they have the support of Hafiz Saeed is a serious charge. I think the government of India shall have to prove that. Should they fail to prove this, I think then they will have to face serious charges.
He is the Home Minister of India, and he is known to have retracted his tweets earlier on the Pathankot incidents, etc. So we don't know on what basis, what is the evidence he has. If there is evidence, then act accordingly.
Rajnath Singh's comment also unleashed a storm on social media. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said, by using Hafiz Saeed's name for JNU crackdown, the NDA government has hit a new low. The Home Ministry later clarified that the statement was based on inputs from different agencies. The Delhi police has also initiated a probe into the now defunct Twitter handle in the name of Hafiz Saeed, on which a message was posted in support of the JNU student stir that prompted it to issue an alert. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has also ordered a magisterial probe into the alleged shouting of anti-India slogans by a group of students at the JNU campus, leading to the arrest of their leader Kanhaiya Kumar. Protesting his arrest, teachers and students of the varsity have called for an indefinite strike starting today. In solidarity, 40 other central universities have also announced support to JNU. On Sunday, thousands of teachers and students formed a roughly 2-kilometer-long human chain inside the JNU campus, demanding immediate release of Kanhaiya Kumar and dropping of arbitrary charges against him.
If you think you can put Kanhaiya behind bars and file sedition charges against him and stifle dissent in this campus, it's not possible. this campus is famous for debate discussion, not violence, gundaism or hooliganism.
Parents of Kanhaiya Kumar also maintain their son has been made a victim of Hindutva politics.
पॉलिटिकली सब हो रहा है, उछाल रहा है। अध्यक्ष है वो लेफ्ट पार्टी से जुड़ा हुआ है, इसलिए थोड़ा रास्ता तो कठिन है, लेकिन वो एकदम जायज पर है, कहीं नाजायज नहीं कर रहा है।
Meanwhile, 7 of the 8 JNU students who were debarred from academic activities in connection with the controversial Afzal Guru event have been asked to appear before a high-level committee of the varsity probing the matter. The final report of the probe panel is likely to be ready by next week. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So the protesting students have given a call that no classes will be held inside the campus unless their leader Kanhaiya Kumar is released and charges of sedition against him are dropped. Moving focus to Bihar now, an NDA delegation submitted a memorandum to the state governor over the spurt in the state's crime graph. The NDA also sought Governor Ram Nath Kovind's intervention following the recent killing of BJP leader Vishweshwar Ojha. In its 17-point memorandum, the NDA has enumerated the major incidents of crime in recent months, including the killings of NDA leaders like BJP Vice President Vishweshwar Ojha, BJP leader Kedar Nath Singh and LJP leader Brijnath Singh. It also raised the issue of alleged rise in incidents of kidnappings for ransom and extortion in the state, the issue of alleged involvement of Grand Alliance's legislators in cases relating to rape, eve-teasing, killings of engineers and traders in Darbhanga, Muzaffarpur and Patna, and alleged intimidation by the Patna IG to media persons were also raised. Meanwhile, the RJD suspended its MLA Raj Ballabh Yadav from the party over allegations of rape.
अंदर कानून व्यवस्था समाप्त हो गया है, बिहार अराजक स्थिति में पहुंच गया है। बिहार में आज लॉ एंड ऑर्डर नहीं है। बिहार की जो सरकार है वो और उसका प्रशासन पूरी तरीके से नाकाम है अपराधियों को पकड़ने में।
लगातार हम लोगों ने इस बात की आशंका भी जाहिर की थी कि अगर एक ऐसी सरकार बनती है तो उस सरकार के बनने के बाद 90 का वो दशक वापस आएगा जिसको हम लोग जंगल राज के नाम पर जानते थे। और अगर आज की तारीख में आप इसे जंगल राज नहीं कहेंगे तो और किसे जंगल राज कहा जा सकता है, जहां पर शायद ही कोई वर्ग और आयु का व्यक्ति अपने आप को सुरक्षित महसूस करे।
Our continuous position that we shall not tolerate any such crime, and if proven guilty, parties shall take most strict action possible. That goes in line with what we have committed to Bihar, and we have shown with our work. In all such cases, immediate arrests have been made.
And coming back to the national capital, there's good news for residents of the city. The Delhi government has announced waiving off of water bills pending till November last year to mark the completion of 1 year in office. While the Chief Minister and his cabinet counted their achievements in their interaction with the public, the opposition, of course, launched a scathing attack, saying that it's been a year of misrule in Delhi. Listen in.
The Kejriwal government completed 1 year of their rule in Delhi on Sunday. The AAP marked the event with an over 2-hour-long public interaction, during which it presented the government's report card since storming to power with an overwhelming haul of 67 seats in the 70-member assembly. Also, a waiver on water bills was the highlight of the milestone celebration.
तो दिल्ली सरकार ने एक निर्णय लिया है, दिल्ली के सभी लोगों को एक साथ इस समस्या से, गलत बिलों की समस्या से छुटकारा दिलाने के लिए कि 30 नवंबर तक के जितने भी लोगों के बिल बकाए हैं वो सारे बिल माफ किए जाते हैं।
Kejriwal and other ministers took phone calls from people and answered a variety of questions during the event at the NDMC Convention Centre in Delhi. The Chief Minister also announced Rs 800 crore project to lay water pipelines in areas where piped water is currently not available.
आर्ट इवेंट की सफलता सरकार और दिल्ली की जनता की सामूहिक सफलता है और मैंने बार बार कहा है क्योंकि सरकार की पहल और जनता का साथ नहीं मिलता तो इसको सफल करना मुश्किल था।
The AAP government also simultaneously launched 20 Aam Aadmi polyclinics in Delhi on the occasion. There are plans to launch 150 such polyclinics.
हम काम कर रहे हैं, जनता के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। पहली बार ऐसी सरकार है जनता के लिए काम कर रही है। मेट्रो फेज 3 का काम बिल्कुल टाइम से चल रहा है और इस साल के अंत तक मेट्रो फेज 3 कंप्लीट हो जाएगा। मेट्रो फेज 3 बनने के बाद दिल्ली का बहुत बड़ा इलाका मेट्रो से जुड़ जाएगा। लोकपाल बिल को हम पास कर चुके हैं, केंद्र के पास बाइज्जत उसको भेजा गया सिर्फ काउंटर साइन करने के लिए।
The chief minister, whose one-year term was marked by frequent run-ins with the lieutenant governor and the BJP-ruled central government, accused Prime Minister Modi of shielding corrupt people in Delhi. Kejriwal alleged his government is being troubled in some way or the other by the BJP-ruled centre. The BJP, on the other hand, observed the day as Black Day.
न सरकार में दूरदर्शिता है, न सरकार में कोई विजन है, न सरकार की कोई प्लानिंग है, न सरकार में कोई अनुभव है, न ही सरकार में कोई डिलीवरी करने का मैकेनिज्म है। केवल पुरानी उपलब्धियों पर अपना बखान देना और एक साल के अंदर जितने भी 70 वायदे देश के अंदर किए गए थे दिल्ली की राजधानी में कि हम ऑल्टरनेटिव पॉलिटिक्स देंगे, वायदा एक भी पूरा नहीं हुआ।
The Congress also protested against the Kejriwal government, alleging it has failed to fulfill its poll promises and its 1 year in power has made things miserable for the people of Delhi.
1 year of Kejriwal government is absolute failure if we see it on 3 terms on the basis of their ideology, because Aam Aadmi Party was formed on supposedly very high moral grounds with our high moral principles, anti-corruption, transparent, participatory, inner party democracy. But we have seen they have done a complete U-turn. They have thrown away their senior founder members of the party because they dare to raise their voice against Mr. Kejriwal. You know, the way the party has been plagued with corruption allegations and charges. They have raised their salaries of the MLAs by 400%. 526 crore budget, unprecedented budget for self-glorification. So it's an absolutely shame the people of Delhi are feeling betrayed.
The introduction of the odd-even formula for vehicle rationing has been one of the government's most talked-about initiatives. The acceptance in the first round has prompted it to bring back the measure again in April to curb rising air pollution. Among many of its poll promises has also been the Aam Aadmi canteen and free Wi-Fi in public spaces. These projects are yet to see any forward movement. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi will launch his party's poll campaign in Assam today. During his 2-day visit, the Congress Vice President will address a public meeting at Jorhat, the constituency represented by Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi. He will also interact with the booth workers in Sonitpur district, women workers in Lakhimpur district and leaders of the tea garden labourers community in Shivsagar. Congress has been in power in Assam for the last 15 years. The party will go alone in the polls this year as it seeks to retain power amid a keen challenge from the BJP, which has projected Union Minister Sarbanand Sonowal as its chief ministerial candidate. A major tragedy was averted in India's financial capital yesterday. A fire broke out during a cultural event at the Make in India meet last evening. Fortunately, no casualties have been reported. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has ordered a probe to ascertain the exact cause of the fire that broke out an hour after the event began. More details in this report.
A massive fire from under the stage during the cultural event at the Make in India investment meet. Dancers performing during the Maharashtra Rajni event, unaware of the flames that leapt later to about 50 feet in height. Several VVIPs, including Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray and film personalities Amitabh Bachchan and Amir Khan were present at the venue. 500 artists were behind the stage and an estimated 50,000 people were watching the event.
मैं भी प्रोग्राम देख रहा था, अचानक से आग लग गई। अभी आग बहुत भड़क गई है। अभी हम अपनी जान लेके बाहर जा निकल रहे हैं।
14 fire engines and 10 water tankers brought the blaze that had erupted at 8:22 p.m. yesterday under control in quick time. Thousands were also evacuated to safety. No casualties or injuries have been reported after the mishap.
इसका एक डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट प्लान 4 दिन पहले हमने तैयार किया था। उस प्लान को तुरंत कार्यान्वित करके सारे लोगों को बाहर निकाला गया। इसमें केवल एक अच्छी बात ये हुई कि कोई भी कैजुअलिटी नहीं हुई है, किसी को इंजरी भी नहीं हुई है।
The cause of the fire that broke out 1 hour after the event began is not known, but one of the witnesses said that there was a spark from beneath the stage that was a wooden structure.
ये आग क्यों लगी, कैसे लगी, इसके बारे में एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इंक्वायरी हम लोग कंडक्ट करेंगे, जिसके माध्यम से कहीं पर एसओपीज में कोई गलती हुई है क्या या उसके और कारण क्या है, ये सारी चीजों को देखा जाएगा। रोल्स और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज क्या है, उसके ऊपर भी इस माध्यम से कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had inaugurated the event on Saturday, spoke to the Maharashtra Chief Minister after the mishap. The Supreme Court had on Wednesday stayed a Bombay High Court order and allowed the Maharashtra government to hold the event at the Girgaon Chowpatty beach to kickstart the Make in India Week program. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So the swift action by the Mumbai police and the fire brigade, of course, averted that major tragedy. Moving on, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has hinted at major banking sector reforms in the offing. Jaitley has said that the country is not at a stage where the government can completely exit its holding in the 27 public sector banks. He further said that in order to professionalize the operations of these state-run banks, which control over 70% of the industry, the government has already committed to bring down its holding to up to 51%. He also said that public sector banks are required because they perform a major role in financial inclusion through their geographical reach. The government had last year announced the Indradhanush program to revamp the state-run banks. It has already put in place steps to professionalize their management. Jaitley also said that the government is committed to zero interference and keeping an arm's length from these banks and letting the institutions run professionally. The comments from the finance minister come days after the state-run lenders posted poor set of earnings for the December quarter. And a look now at news and events expected today in our segment, The Day Ahead. British Prime Minister David Cameron's infrastructure envoy to India, Alok Sharma, will arrive today on a 5-day visit. During his stay, he will discuss ways to build closer economic and financial ties between the two countries, especially in capital markets and raising joint funds for infrastructure investment. The Indian-origin British MP is the key contact between the UK and Indian governments, Indian public and private sector infrastructure companies. This is his first visit to India since being appointed Cameron's infrastructure envoy soon after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's UK visit last November. The first list for nursery admissions will be released today. The online admission portal launched by Delhi government's Directorate of Education this year has so far received 64,000 applications for 27,000 seats in private schools. The Directorate of Education will conduct the draws for about 27,000 seats under the EWS category from the 73,000 applications received this year. The second list will be released on the 29th of February. PDP will observe the 40th Congregational Mourning Day of late Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mufti Muhammad Saeed today. Post this, the party expects a breakthrough on the government formation in the state soon. Jammu and Kashmir has been under governor's rule since the death of the Chief Minister on the 7th of January. With that, a quick break here on Breakfast News, but all the international news to follow on the other side. Do stay with us.
I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar, Vishal Dahiya, Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, 2 civilians, including 1 woman, were killed and 16 injured when the army and police allegedly opened fire on a group of protesters close to the site of an encounter between militants and forces in Jammu and Kashmir on Sunday. A militant was also killed in the encounter, which took place in Kakpora village of South Kashmir's Pulwama district. The police, however, said the woman was killed in crossfire during the encounter. Witnesses, however, rejected the police version and said the forces opened fire on the protesters near the Lelhar village. PDP President Mehbooba Mufti has termed the incident unfortunate. She said that such incidents are uncalled for and security forces must observe restraint while dealing with civilians in such a situation. She expressed her solidarity with the families of the victims. The deaths are likely to cast a shadow over talks expected between the PDP chief and BJP General Secretary Ram Madhav today.
काकापुरा ललिहार में हमारी पार्टी जो ही कॉर्डन कर रही थी उसी दौरान
2 से 3 बंदों की हरकत हुई। उन्होंने हमारा कॉर्डन तोड़ना चाहा और उन्होंने हम पे फायर किया। इसके कारण जवाबी फायर में वहाँ पर एक मिलिटेंट मारा गया। अभी तक उसकी आइडेंटिटी अभी पहचान होनी है।
The bodies of 9 Siachen bravehearts who were buried alive in an avalanche that struck their post on the world's highest battlefield are likely to be brought to Delhi today if the weather permits. The weather at Khardungla remains extremely poor and all attempts to bring the mortal remains of the 9 soldiers to Leh are being made. A wreath-laying ceremony is expected to be held in Delhi. The mortal remains of the 9 soldiers were transported from Siachen Glacier to the Siachen base camp in helicopters on Saturday. Lance Naik Hanmantappa Koppar was miraculously dug out alive, but he passed away later. The bodies of 9 others were recovered on the 9th of February. And the big international focus. Fighting escalated in Syria as Turkish militia continued with their assault on Kurdish forces for the second straight day. French Foreign Ministry has urged for restraint. Syria also condemned the Turkish intervention as a violation of its sovereignty. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama has urged Russia to stop bombing moderate Syria rebels. More in this report.
Syria turning into a battleground for proxy wars. The latest to bombard the already war-torn country is Turkey, a Saudi ally. They are fighting the Kurdish groups, which it says is linked to the banned Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK. Kurdish forces have rejected Ankara's demand to leave areas it has seized, since the YPG forces fear the IS would return if it left. Syria, meanwhile, urged the UN Security Council to intervene as they called the Turkish intervention as a violation of sovereignty. France also called on Assad forces and its allies to stop bombardments and to implement the Munich Agreement, which has called for cessation of hostilities within a week.
Her adımına aynen mukavele ederiz. YPG'nin ve arkasındaki güçlerin de Türkiye'nin bu konudaki tutumunu bilmesi lazım. YPG derhal Azaz ve çevresinden uzaklaşacak. Azaz'ın yakınına dahi yaklaşmayacak. Koridoru tekrar kırma çabalarında bulunmayacak. Minnak havaalanını Türkiye'ye karşı
Russian Prime Minister Medvedev reiterated any ground operation in Syria will lead to a full-fledged war. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin drew flak from the West for deteriorating situation in Syria. US President Barack Obama urged Russia to stop shelling moderate rebels in the region. Both leaders have agreed to intensify cooperation to implement the Munich Agreement.
Mr. Putin is not interested in being our partner. He wants to shore up the Assad regime. He wants to reestablish Russia as a major power in the Middle East. He wants to use Syria as a live fire exercise for Russia's modernizing military. And he wants to exacerbate the refugee crisis and use it as a weapon to divide the transatlantic alliance and undermine the European project.
Россия не поддерживает лично президента Асада. Россия поддерживает дружественные отношения с сирийским государством. Они возникли не в период, когда президентом стал Башар Асад. Мы просто исходим из того, что в настоящий момент нет ни одной другой.
The Munich Security Conference in Germany ended on a gloomy note on Sunday, with a bleak prospect of much agreed cessation of hostilities in Syria. The deal is not expected to take effect until the end of coming week. To make matters worse, it was not signed by both warring factions in Syria, the Assad forces and rebels. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India-born Sri Srinivasan is likely to be nominated to replace US Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia after he passed away on Saturday. Srinivasan is a former senior Justice Department official for whom President Barack Obama had fought to confirm a seat on the US Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia. However, the Republicans in the Senate want to delay the nomination till a new US president is sworn in January next year.
After the death of one of the most conservative members of the US Supreme Court, Washington corridors are abuzz that Indian-born Sri Srinivasan will be US President Barack Obama's nomination. According to media reports, 49-year-old Srinivasan, whose family came to the US from a village in Tamil Nadu, figures as the most probable choice to succeed Justice Antonin Scalia, who died on Saturday. Obama says he intends to make a nomination, but the Republican candidates have called for a delay until after the election.
I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor in due time. There will be plenty of time for me to do so and for the Senate to fulfill its responsibility to give that person a fair hearing and a timely vote. These are responsibilities that I take seriously, as should everyone. They're bigger than any one party.
It is a president's constitutional right to choose whom he deems fit, but the process needs Senate approval, which is currently controlled by the Republicans. The Republicans say they want the next president to decide on the critical vacancy and not President Obama. Before Justice Scalia's death, the US High Court had a conservative 5-4 majority. Now, with places on the Supreme Court now balanced 4-all between liberals and conservatives, the fight for influence in US top court promises to be fraught.
I very much hope that President Obama will bring forth a strong nominee and that we can get that nominee confirmed as soon as possible. Supreme Court of the United States has 9 members, not 8. We need that 9th member. A lot of important issues coming up.
Srinivasan is currently circuit judge of the US Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, which served as a stepping stone for at least 3 judges of the US Supreme Court. Judge Srinivasan's bipartisan acceptability is among the reasons cited by experts who believe President Obama could pick him for the post. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for all the sports news now. On the 10th day of the 12th South Asian Games, Indian shooters secured 2 more gold, making it 21 gold medals in the shooting event. The first gold came in the men's 50 meters rifle 3-position event. The team of Chain Singh, Gagan Narang and Surendra Rathore claimed gold in the team category, after which Chain claimed the top honours in the individual section with his 6th gold of the Games. India also got a gold medal in triathlon mixed relay event. In today's events, the Indian men's and women's kabaddi teams will be in action in the finals. The men's team will take on arch rivals Pakistan for the top honours, while the women's team will meet Bangladesh in the final. India at present continues to be at the top of the medal standing with 160 gold, 88 silver and 28 bronze. Sri Lanka stands at the 2nd place with 25 gold, followed by Pakistan at the 3rd place with 10 gold medals. Afghanistan has moved up to the 4th spot with 6 gold medals. Indian tennis star Sania Mirza and her Swiss partner Martina Hingis won the St. Petersburg Ladies Trophy to extend their winning streak to 40 matches. The top-seeded Indo-Swiss pair registered a comfortable 6-3, 6-1 victory over the Russian-Czech team of Vera Dushevina and Barbora Krejcikova in the women's doubles final to clinch their 4th title of the year. The pair now has won 13 trophies together. They started the year with wins in Brisbane and Sydney before completing a hat-trick of Grand Slam titles at the Australian Open. And the Indian men's cricket team also gave us a reason to cheer. India defeated Sri Lanka by 9 wickets in the deciding 3rd and final T20 international at Visakhapatnam to clinch the 3-match series 2-1. Off-spinner R. Ashwin took a career-best 4-wicket haul, while opener Shikhar Dhawan hit an unbeaten 46 as India chased down the paltry target of 83 with 37 balls to spare. Ashwin picked 2 wickets in the very first over as the hosts bowled out Sri Lanka for 82, their lowest ever score in T20 cricket. Dasum Shanaka top scored for the visitors with 19 runs. Indian opener Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane took the side over the finishing line with an unbeaten 55-run partnership for the 2nd wicket. It was the 2nd successive series win for India after whitewashing Australia 3-0 in their own backyard last month. The series win also helped India retain its #1 position in the ICC T20 rankings. That's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.